welcome our dear viewers to this new segment of Let's Talk Business, Entrepreneurship Edition. Today we are here with a new guest, guys. It's a new guest. We are here with a fellow youth who has been in tech for quite a while, started good tech, and is trying to see how best we can implement this tech in Uganda. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. So, Mel, me I know you, but our viewers here don't know you.
Yes.
So can you kindly tell us who you are, what you do, and probably what you...
I'm called Melvin. I'm a software engineer professionally, and I run a tech company that deals in making software for growing businesses and which help businesses grow, help businesses monitor themselves, so things like that. So I deal in websites, web applications, and systems.
That's a very very interesting topic and discussion, because we have realized that in the new era, it's the way to go. I mean, we are reducing on the interface, physical interface of people. But today we are here to discuss about how to increase wealth and financial management around youth during this pandemic. We have realized that this pandemic has taught us a lot of things, man. A lot of things. So we are asking ourselves, how best can we increase, or how can we increase wealth as the youth? Why do I say this? Because we shall understand that some youth are wealthy.
Yes.
When I say wealthy, I mean they have their businesses doing well, and then also others have acquired wealth in various ways. Some people have acquired wealth through inheritance. Some people have acquired wealth through working hard for it. Okay. So now we would like to have this issue. Why is it so hard sometimes for youth who come from probably well-to-do families to maintain and increase wealth compared to the youth who come from standard families?
That's a very interesting point, because this is a topic I had with my family. I also had with my dad and everyone.
Wow.
We have realized that in the African setting, 80 years, I'm going to give a rough example. Let's look at the Indians.
Yeah.
The Indians don't know anything about Uganda. An Indian or a Chinese is going to leave their country with nothing, come to Uganda
and make something out of nothing. Yeah.
And a Ugandan who has lived here for 10 years is going to
still stay the same.
It's going to be the hassle.
After a decade though.
After a decade.
Yeah.
You're going to find this practice that it's common in Indians and Chinese.
Yeah.
You're going to find that if you're a father Laban and you have a kid, as early as 7 years, you're taking the kid on business trips.
Sure.
So this kid now knows that, this is where my dad gets the supplies from. This is how he bargains. By the time he's 20 years, even if the dad passes on, or the dad is now old to handle the business, the kid can take over at whatever age.
Yeah.
And we find that in Africa, if I'm a very rich person, I don't want my family to know anything about my...
They don't even want to know how your transactions.
So you tell the kid, go to school, work hard, and go and start from scratch.
Yes.
Now that's where the mentorship comes in. So a lot of these people have a lot of knowledge, the businessmen, but they can't even mentor their own family.
But they like mentoring other people.
Exactly.
You find them somehow mentoring someone else.
Exactly.
And not someone in their family.
They can have the office messenger or a person who runs errands for them.
For them, yeah.
Yet that's supposed to be their son or the person that will take over. Because eventually this person, the habits grow onto them.
Yeah.
So you find that this is a family that's very rich. They have sons, they have daughters. They're not being trained to take up.
But the generational transition of these riches,
it's not there.
There's a gap.
It's a big gap.
It's a big gap. I would like to maybe interject there a bit. You see, good enough you've been here today and you've happened to see my wife and my child come. Me, I believe that we should change this kind of setting. My son has visited my office twice, but he's barely even 2 years. But he has visited my office twice. And I am a person who believes in building generational businesses, because I have seen it work in terms of agriculture. I've seen people build generational farms, and surprisingly, when I bring in agriculture, I mean these are These are people out of the country. We are competing for foreign markets, for example, for agricultural produce. But we have a 60-year-old farm. An average farmer in Uganda is going to be 50 years.
Yes.
Each time they call you a farmer in Uganda, you're going to be 50 years, averagely, because that's when probably you're serious into commercial farming. But you're producing probably chili or something to export, and you're competing. You are a 50-year-old farmer with 3 years experience, but you're competing with a 25-year-old farmer with 12 years of experience of chili. I see those two different things, because the person grew up on the farm, has understood the dynamics of the farm. But most of our parents who own farms here, they don't even want you to step there. The moment you step there and tell them maybe challenges here and there and here and there, they think your opinion doesn't matter. So I think that's an issue we need to really focus on. Generational wealth. Because for us, the youth, we are barely a Ugandan youth, someone below the age of 35 years.
Yes.
So it means, and in our school system, the person has studied for 25 years.
It is, and it's one thing, it's an interesting point you've come to, the education system. We are trained to cram and remember. When S1, I remember in my S1 we were doing like 16 subjects.
20 subjects. I remember even military school we were doing like 18 subjects. All of a sudden you have to do some French, you have to do some, yes, all that.
We did history, we did Luganda. I can ask you, how has it helped us?
Exactly. Because I think the whole issue is that the reality is different from what we understand. Because by the time someone leaves university, the school system, first of all, you leave university at 23, 24. It's a whole lot of different scenario in the world.
People are trained more to be employees and job creators or problem solvers.
And then what happens for us who choose to go that other side of being business owners, entrepreneurs?
Yes.
What happens to us? Because do you think the environment has been successful? Do you think that a youth investor, I want to call them youth investors, because yes, they're entrepreneurs, but they're also investors. So a youth investor, do you feel like the ground is level for a youth investor to start up a business and proceed to be a successful business in Uganda?
Personally, no.
So what do you think?
It would even come down to a point where you can say it's almost luck.
Exactly.
So you find that your friend's the same age as you, but has a lot of money. Be like, hey man, that guy was lucky, he hit a deal.
Yeah.
But there's a video I watched one time, and this was an American. It was in a UN conference. And like, you people are trying to help Africa get out of debt, but you're still letting it get more money.
Yeah.
They said Uganda has one of the highest tax rates in the world. Where are people even going to get money to invest if all the money is going to taxes?
And so it's being taxed. I mean, up to there, I think we are introducing new taxes.
We have the highest in East Africa. I think our internet cost is the highest. So how are people supposed to even access data? People from rural areas, how are they supposed to access
even the accessibility of that data, of the internet there in the village? I come from Kabale. Which one you come from?
Yes.
I can assure you that some areas in my village, I come from a place called Bushudo.
Yes.
I have to first look for internet. I have to first go in a certain area in our home.
Yeah.
Know that there's MTN network here,
Yeah.
or there's Airtel network here. Has it happened to you before?
Yes, true.
And this is literally maybe 400 kilometers away from the city town, from Kampala. 400 kilometers, I think. But we are still in that bargaining of.
And yet Kabale is also one of the main tourist attractions.
And then we're next to the border. We have Lake Bunyonyi. We have
Mountain gorillas.
it should be able to have solid internet.
How do you have infrastructure?
I know. So I think a normal youth faces a lot of challenges to grow and increase wealth. However, we also have a different aspect of financial management, because I think some youth get the money. I think some youth have some money. But the challenge is, the man might have 1 million today. The moment he removes 550k and asks them after 1 week where that 1 million went, they will not have it. What do you think of that also as well?
One thing I've learned in my years, financial management, and as I was taught as brought up, is that it's a habit. Now, we're in an age of social media. You go on social media, it's showing you a different life. I mean, people are just showing you good pictures.
True.
It's a young kid who is already a billionaire.
In
so
a
you
Benz.
also, exactly.
You know
So
what?
you also want to be like him, and you're like, but why am I tied there? This is also one of the things that causes depression, anxiety, because
Mental health.
exactly.
It's getting crazy.
Because now someone thinks that he didn't go through the process.
Yeah.
Why should I go through it?
Yeah.
But they don't know that a process also builds character. Because if you look at our fathers, I'm sure if you're going to look at Itature, you're going to look at Sudir, your father, my father, the way they handle money is so different. They actually handle it like they don't have money.
Exactly.
But us, who don't have the money, we handle it like we have.
Like we have a lot, like we have bags of money, like stashed.
So it also comes down to your priority list. So because I want to give you a scenario of like the whole Ugandan education system.
Yeah.
So I'm a kid, I'm in nursery, let's say by 3 years. I pass nursery, I go to S4, then S6. In school we are trained that failure it's wrong to fail.
It's actually taboo.
It's a taboo.
You're a failure. They keep telling even.
You've heard of students killing themselves
Yeah.
because they failed.
Yeah.
in their
PLE.
PLE.
She hung herself. It's quite absurd. That there's a girl I saw in the news.
I saw another thing on news, but I think it was in another one of those primitive areas where the parent beat up the kid for getting 12 aggregates
12.
to death, actually.
Wow.
So, and you find that even when you were in school, even if you got 90%, focused on, oh my god, I failed that 10%. So, every time you're focusing on your failures, you're like, oh my god, I
Not
failed.
any achievements. True.
Not any achievements. So now your failures are not stepping stones, they're just things that are holding you back. So when you look at it, even the INEP system, I am charged, I am made accountable for my 4 years in one city.
Yeah. I mean, if I was a good student in senior 1, senior 2, senior 3, even senior 4, but by the time
I fail
UNEV, it means my O level is finished. 4 years.
4 years.
Oh yeah.
The same with
A level.
A-level,
University. You
university.
can't get a transcript after you failed your final years. Probably. Don't know if that's the case, but
You had of the recent law, the recent people who graduated the back course at law.
at law, yeah.
The
LDC.
failure rate was really high.
And even had to make a story about it to investigate.
Because they were saying that these people are literally proud of our failures.
Yeah.
Because how is it that in 1,000 students only over 60 or 80 have graduated? Now this lady, I think it was on NBS, and she was saying that on average people who haven't graduated have failed 4 to 6 papers. Each paper is 300,000. On top of that, you have to pay school fees. You have to wait another year for the people who
sitting.
are coming in to sit your paper. Some of these people even have to bribe, which is a very terrible thing. So now, here I am. I've come out of university. I have a first class. I even go for a job. It comes to an extent that at a point, it's almost like a degree can be bought in Uganda if you think about it. So even the employers who are hiring you, how do they trust that that's a first class degree?
True.
Genuine.
It's a genuine degree because now anyone can do anything.
Now those people who worked hard genuinely for their degree, they're also victims of it. So, and the dream that our parents sell us is that go to school, study hard, make sure you perform well, and then you come out and then, okay, then, now what?
Somehow there is no continuity plan. They say, go out there, go to school, study. The continuity plan normally, I'll give an example for the girls. Study, get married.
Get married.
They marry you. Not get married. Because
Exactly.
they marry you. And go to your everybody to home. I have done my part. That's what the father would say. I have done my part. And then if this lady says, look, I want to build a career for like 5 years. How can you build a career for 5 years? That will be 30 years. When will you get married? So, anyway, we have to look at also the society we are living in. Do you think is it favorable for us youth? Because most of the times they'll say the youth, they call us a species that is, we are too fast. They think we are too fast, but I keep telling them, no, it's the conditions, it's the technology. We are moving so fast. Information moves so fast. So the world is moving fast.
At my age, when I was really young, and you wanted to entertain yourself, you had to go outside and play football.
Yeah, and ride a bike with your friends, with your neighbor.
Sometimes you didn't have a ball, you had to make a ball.
Yes, out of banana. Yeah, I know.
Right now, a kid of 2 years old is looking at a tablet.
Yeah.
So you look at how much technology has affected us.
Yeah.
Because now, before, I had to send an email, or I had to send a messenger, to send a car. Right now, in a couple of seconds, I can send a message from here, send money from one country to another. So even as the youth, we've grown up in such an environment where we expect things to happen.
To move fast. Yeah. Not to think about like this. I understand what you're saying. So we are looking at members, we are looking at how to increase wealth and also financial management around the youth. Because youth are very important. They are a very important sector in our country. They take up over 75% of the population. Meaning in the next 5 years, our population will be in that category of either 80% of the youth. There will be youth. So it means that it will be a digitalized discussion.
Definitely. I can tell you now, if you just look at the stats, we how many people in Uganda?
We're around maybe 40, you can say 45 million.
Only now, of the recent stats, only 10 million have access to phones and internet.
Yeah.
Out of those 10 million, who are the majority that buy the data?
The youth.
It's the youth. But what do you use the data for? Social media. But we find that the things we're doing on social media are relatively unproductive.
Yeah.
So that people even have access to the resources are using them to their advantage.
This brings me to the point of how can a person who has the ideas, who has the innovation, access the resources? Because that's also another issue. There's someone with the ideas out there, doesn't have access to the resources. However, there's someone out there with wide bunch of resources, but with no ideas.
Now, I want to say this. It's a trick question, because there's a child who didn't have it, who hasn't grown up in a normal society setting, has passed through school. Some children who pass through school to even reach S4 in their family is an achievement.
Yeah.
They say they want to get reach S6. Now, if I'm talking about a child who has passed through school, this is where mentoring comes in, because the fact that our parents instill in us a thing that when you're going to school, go to school, perform, read, you don't even make friends. You don't understand that in society you need social capital.
Yeah.
So for me to access someone who has money, I need that social capital. It's not all about, you can have the idea, but it can never happen
Without the capital.
without the capital.
It may be social capital, it may be the capital for money, monetary capital. Yeah.
But even eventually to get into someone's office, to sit there, to have an appointment with them, there's some connection you must have.
Gamba no.
So you find that to get to that point of having a connect, people are out there and they're so proud to say, I'm naturally an introvert.
Yeah.
I'm an introvert, I can't socialize with anyone. How do you expect to get ahead? Because in your workplace, whether you want it or not, you're going to keep interacting with people. Some of you are going to work in human resource, you always have to keep smiling, even if the customer pleases you.
Yeah.
The customer is always right.
Yes.
And in a lot of businesses, customer care is like the
key.
goal to keeping all that. Because eventually, everyone is going to have the customers, but who is going to keep them? Because once a customer I'm coming to test Laban's product. Is it time effective? How much does it cost me? What results do I get out? So if you look at that and you compare yourself with other businesses, that's how you weigh yourselves. And also, most people have had this thing of, let's say, I've had a couple of friends because I've been in different schools, and you know sometimes it's a school where people are less privileged than you. But you've had this thing of a youth, he's going out of forms, it's like, I don't need to go to university, education is useless, let me just go to Chikuba and start
a business.
But it's not even as simple as that.
Yeah.
Because now that's where financial management comes in. As a businessman, remember, you have to pay yourself also. But you also need the working capital to keep the business running. Now, a lot of us have studied entrepreneurship, have studied economics, accounts. Because I can tell you that entrepreneurship I studied in A-level is enough for me to run a business financially. But how many of us even apply that knowledge?
True.
Because you know that maybe for every 200 shillings, 100 shillings is my profit, but we don't know that because we don't use it. Because when we were being taught, they're like, if you do this, you'll pass the exam. Not if you do this, you'll be a successful business.
We were reading or we were studying to pass the exam. To just go through the system. So this brings us to the next segment of the Mindset Change Corner. But before we go there, guys, let's take a short break and then we shall be back with Melvin. So welcome to this other segment, the final segment of Let's Talk Business, the Entrepreneurship Edition. We are in our segment or the final area, or I'll call it a period, or I don't know how we'll call it, but we call it the Mindset Change Corner, called the MCC. So in this Mindset Change Corner, Melvin, we're looking at the status quo of mindset, saving and investing. So what do you think about the status quo of this in Uganda to the youth?
There are a few things I've learned from quite a few people. I've watched a few videos, let's say, of Patrick Peter, and he gives us a rough example of a Ugandan youth. Let's say you're earning money, you're earning, let's say, 500,000 per month. Let's just say that, because you're fresh out of campus. A person comes out, he's earning 500,000, he rents a place for 400,000. He has to buy food, he has to pay bills, and he also has to even go out. He has to transport to work. By the time the person reaches the end of the month, they're spending more than they earn.
Sure.
So these days, most people save to spend rather than save to invest. It's kind of a circle. Because I would also advise a person to save money this day and age. Why? It may sound weird, but money loses value. Money is just paper.
Yeah.
Instead of keeping money in the bank, why don't I go and buy a treasury bill or a bond that's going to mature? Yes, have an emergency fund, meaning that in case of any calamity or anything like this, an accident,
you have something to use. It buys you time to liquidate the other things that maybe you would need to liquidate.
But now I want to save for how long, and then I buy a car. A car needs money, a car takes money. And there's also this other rule. Now most times, let's say a car is like 10 million, but someone has only 10 million back account, wants to buy a car of 10. Now they're left with 1 million. So supposing the car gets...
What's the maintenance in
the servicing? So we are living in such an economy where people are spending more than they earn.
So this brings us to this issue of, because you said people spend more than they earn, so it means they're going to go in debt. So what is the aspect of debt? What is the perspective of debt in people out there towards the youth?
I think there's good debt and there's bad debt.
Yeah.
As I've learned from the books I've read and the people I've seen. when you get good debt, rich people get richer by using debt to their advantage. They use it to
They use people's money to develop their money.
and get their money. Because what happens is that Laban, and I know some people have this mentality of they work, they keep their money in NSSF, they save 40 years, but you're going to find that those people have saved in NSSF within their first 3 years of retirement. The money is done. Someone is frustrated, they have no investments, they have no monthly income that's coming in. So eventually someone's just frustrated. Now they're even biased to the economy.
I know. They start transferring the bias now to another thing.
And you even find that now most people say, hey man, Uganda is hard, I want to travel to America.
But America is harder.
It's harder.
So how are you going to make a living in another country?
Here in Africa, like now consider America, when you just add on racism, all the problems, it becomes way more difficult for a black person to survive there. Because by the time, I think there are reports of racism in our own country by Chinese contractors, which is really terrible. But these are the people that the president brings in. But now how can you be racist towards your own? If anyone's giving you business. So I would think that in schools there should be
like mentorship programs.
There should be financial management classes. But of course, like the government can't teach you to be self-employed. That's what they're going to do.
It's only for maybe the ones who are interested or the few. I think this should be something we should focus on maybe for people who have probably finished senior 4, senior 5, senior 6, to see, because that's when at least the person has already made up their mind, either to go into entrepreneurship, investment, all those things. So I think with those, what are your closing remarks on our atmosphere and all the ease of doing business as youth to our viewers there?
Personally, I think that anyone can make money. Anyone can become rich. It's about time, chance, opportunities. How do you create these opportunities? Through your networks. Sometimes you don't need money to get rich. You need the idea. Entrepreneurship. Then if you look at these businessmen, they will tell you, I started with this money, then I started growing it. But of course, a youth of these days wants a big chunk of money. So you have to start small to grow big, not grow big and then crash. So, and also I'd encourage a lot of youth to read books.
To expound on their knowledge.
There's a lot of things you can learn in between books. So a lot of times we spend our times, social media scrolling through people. Those people have already made it in life.
They're trying to find some motivation, I don't know. But then you spend a lot of time doing nothing. You spend most of your time doing nothing.
If I say that, let me read 10 pages of a book every day. You can pick a book, you can say, okay, I'm not good with money. Let me read books.
Financial knowledge, literacy, financial freedom, all those things.
I'm not good with managing my time. Right now, there's a book for every problem you have.
Oh, yes.
So, if you even say that, let's just put into a rough. If I say I'm reading 10 pages every day, 70 pages per week, those are 280 per month. An average book is 300 pages.
You finish the book every month.
You finished a book. In a year, I've read 12 books. An average American reads one book per year. In the top 20% in the world in terms of knowledge. Because information is powerful. It's what's going to take you.
People normally say the most powerful weapon is the mind. Because everything starts from the mind. Everything that has ever been invented, everything that has ever been done, that's with the mind. So what you feed your mind on is key. And normally this knowledge, this information comes from books. I get it. When I started reading books, my life changed. And I'm sure even any other person will tell you that when they started reading books, their life changed.
Every other successful person will tell you just have to read. Because they'll tell you there's always that one book that changed their life, that changed their perspective. Be Rich Dad Poor Dad. There are very many books, but and a lot of times, Arthur's youth, since we see things happen overnight these days, we assume that it wasn't overnight. I mean, look at Tesla.
Yeah.
Tesla is a very wealthy man.
They don't know where he came from, where Elon Musk came from, which kind of family he came from actually.
He became a billionaire in almost the shortest time possible.
Well, even Jeff Bezos, when he started Amazon fresh, all of a sudden he became a billionaire within. I get you, I hear you.
But his aim wasn't to make money, it was to help people, to make people's lives simpler. And they also tell you, Elon Musk is like, he said something like, I work 16 hours a day and people still think I'm working. But that's the life of an entrepreneur. We go in saying that, hey, I'm self-employed, I won't be my own boss. But you don't know that you're going to.
It's about 15 hours a day. You must give it 15 hours a day, every day of that life.
Because eventually you're working for your business, so that later it works for you.
Yeah.
And you have to pay the employees. It's all that.
I want you to repeat that. You are working for your business, so that later
it eventually works for you. I
So-
think at the end of the day, that's where we make money. So it can work for us. You get a billionaire. You don't find a billionaire cleaning or mopping his house. His money already does that for him, so that he can redirect
focus on something. His energy is on something.
something else.
Wow. So thank you very much, Melvin. We don't forget to subscribe on Let's Talk Business, and we are lucky that this is the last edition of the Let's Talk Business Entrepreneurship Edition. Comment, like all our videos. We have very wide scope of things for you. We're going to give you everything from the beginning, from the first episode to this 5th episode. We're going to design it for you. We're going to make it into a book. We're going to get it into a podcast. So guys, follow, like, comment, and tell us what you want. Do you want a book? Do you want a podcast? Tell us what you want. We shall all go through all the comments and shall get back to you. So thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe. The notification button is key. You don't have to miss.